Hello everyone, my name is Sir Spooks, and today we'll investigate the tunnel monster of Cabbagetown, also known as the Toronto Tunnel Monster, a terrifying cryptid unlike any I've ever heard of. So, let's begin. There's an eerie city lying beneath the streets of Metro, a city none of us knows much about. Ernest has been a visitor to that silent world of sewers, drainage pipes and the ruins under old houses, and the memory of what he saw there will haunt him for the rest of his life. Those are the opening words to an article from the Sunday Sun, written on March 25th, 1979, describing the nightmare-inducing encounter a man named Ernest had while looking for a kitten from a litter he'd been caring for. Tunnels are spooky places to begin with. Dark and claustrophobic would be most people's descriptions of them, and they are perfect locations for scary tales and urban legends, such as sewer gators and the sighting of a reptilian dinosauroid humanoid with a thin tail emerging from a sewer tunnel in 1981's Pennsylvania. Just as strange is the tale of the Toronto Tunnel Monster. Imagine having to go inside a creepy tunnel where your kitten might have gotten lost. The claustrophobia is scary enough, but once inside, you never know what you're going to meet. The specific tunnel or cavern that Ernest described was actually quite different from this reenactment, but nonetheless, other people have also described similar encounters in sewer systems and tunnels. Even if I were to travel all the way to Toronto, Canada, pinpointing the exact location of the encounter would be near impossible. So, let's go back a few steps. It was a summer day, August 1978. Ernest lived in a small Cabbagetown apartment with his wife of 19 years. Cabbagetown is a neighborhood in central Toronto, Canada. Ernest was looking for a missing kitten, so he went to a small cavernous space at the bottom of a narrow passage between the building in which he lived and the one next door. The only way he could reach the tunnel was to clamber 15 feet down the wrong side of a fire escape, which was once the exit to the street. But back when the article was written, it simply led to a narrow chamber with walls on 4 sides. As described in the Sun, quote, "The tunnel entrance ran under a slab of concrete at the foot of the chamber, Inside there was a narrow passageway branching off to the left about 10 feet back. The corpse of a cat lied half buried in the tunnel. Back then, Ernest would hear strange noises like animals in pain coming from the chamber." End quote. Looking for his kitten, Ernest crawled about 10 feet inside this cavernous space and saw something he recalls as a living nightmare. He said, quote, "It was pitch black in there. I saw it with my flashlight. The eyes were orange and red, slanted. It was long and thin, almost like a monkey, 3 feet long, large teeth, weighing maybe 30 pounds, with slate gray fur." End quote. What happened next was even more disturbing. Reluctantly, Ernest spoke of what happened inside the pitch black tunnel. The creature spoke to him. Quote, "I'll never forget it. It said, 'Go away, in a hissing voice. Then it took off down a long tunnel off the side. I got out of there as fast as I could. I was shaking with fear." End quote. This terrifying experience would be stuck in his mind for the rest of his life. You may just call him a lunatic, but everyone who knew him said he was telling the truth. His wife recalled that he was terrified when he came back to the apartment, and he didn't scare easily. She also mentioned that he was known to have a drink in the past, like most people, but that he wasn't a drunk and wasn't at all drinking that day. Friends and relatives were asked about Ernest's reliability, and everyone backed him up, saying he wouldn't make up such things. Ernest didn't go to the Sun to tell his story. The Sun came to him after hearing about his story from a reliable contact. Understandably, he wasn't too happy to report his encounter. He knew he would be called crazy. Therefore, he refused to have his last name revealed. He saw the creature where the tunnel turned, heading off into the dark. As far as he could tell, the passageway seemed to drop down very quickly and go a long way back. He believed it led all the way to the sewer system, and that the creature had simply used the entrance as an access point to the surface. When asked about the possibility of the tunnel leading into the sewers, a longtime sewer worker said that it was possible. He said, quote, "Who knows where it leads, or how far it goes? You'd have to get in there, and the way it is now, it would take a lot of work." End quote. Another worker went on to say, quote, "People who work on the surface just don't know what it's like down there. It's a whole different world. Who would have thought a few years ago that people would live in sewers, and yet that's what they found in New York a few years back. Even in Toronto, we've occasionally had to pull mattresses from the chambers beneath the manhole covers where the winos have been sleeping." End quote. Apparently, animals like beavers and raccoons would sometimes make their way into the system. Another worker said, quote, "I don't know what he saw down there, but I'll tell you one thing. If we could get in there, I sure as hell wouldn't want to go down alone." End quote. The author Commander X claims in his book Underground Alien Bases that there exists an alien base beneath downtown Toronto. He wrote, quote, "There is a small opening to the underground tunnels off Parliament Street in downtown Toronto. The entrance is between 2 apartment buildings and leads to the tunnels via the sewers. The underground city beneath Toronto has its center beneath Gerrard Street and Church Street. Above this area, strange magnetic effects have been observed." End quote. He then mentions that the corner of those 2 streets has the highest accident rate in Toronto. He observed that underground equipment utilizing powerful magnetic fields may be responsible for strange equipment failures that led to these accidents. Torontoist.com speculates whether the Toronto Tunnel Monster could be a resident of this now lost city. This claim will probably seem way too far-fetched to most people, and logically, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense either. Work crews digging up the ground would more than likely have discovered such an underground city by now. Early city builders of Toronto would find that the land was covered by numerous rivers, streams and creeks. Many of the original waterways that went through Toronto still exist, They were rerouted into underground culverts or sewers buried beneath the city. Maybe this is where the Toronto Tunnel Monster lived, or still lives to this day. The Algonquin tribes of Canada spoke of hairy man-like creatures living in these rivers before they were hidden away, a legend sounding quite similar to the terrifying Cabbagetown creature. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure to leave a like and a comment and share it around. And also let me know which cryptid you would like me to cover next. Be sure to subscribe to my channel for more scary content. I also want to give a huge thanks to Mark III for creating amazing digital art for this video. If you want to check out his other work and social medias, I'll leave links in the description. My name is Spooks, and I'll see you all in the next video.